Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to Nanabe's Kitchen. So today I have a collection of 3 meals I cook for my children, and they always ask for more. The recipes that I have selected for you are okra, spinach, eggplant, and cabbage sauce. We're going to serve it with rice. Yum. A hearty chicken stew served with tikka rice and a cabbage slaw. And peanut butter soup made with homemade cured lamb shank, served ramen style. Oh, so good. Let's make okra, cabbage, spinach, and the eggplant sauce. Now I need to season up and tenderize the following protein: boneless beef shank, beef tripe, wile, pomo, OKRO. So that goes into my Instapot. And I'm seasoning with all-purpose seasoning, salt, crushed black pepper, and my dry mixed herb and spice blend that's going in right now. I'm also going to add my fresh green seasoning, about 2 tablespoons of that. Perfect. And then I'm also going to go in with some chopped onions, just about a handful. Then I will grate in some ginger. And that's all she wrote. So we'll pressure cook to save us some time. And for that, we'll need some moisture. So I go in with about a cupful of water. And we'll pressure cook for 32 minutes. Now, while we're pressure cooking, we have some time to prep the rest of our ingredients. So if you're looking for a sneaky way to boost your children's nutrition, this is the perfect recipe for you. You'll need your crunchy green cabbage, hearty eggplants, vibrant okra, and nutritious spinach. So by chopping them up into bite-sized pieces, I make sure that the sliminess of the okra doesn't steal the spotlight. So in this recipe, we want to mask the sliminess, and this is one way of doing that, by chopping up the okra into bite-sized pieces. And because this sauce is loaded with so many nutritious vegetables, my kiddos get all the goodness they need to fuel their active lifestyles and support their growth and development without even knowing it. So we're currently still in the prepping phase, so I'm just chopping up my vegetables. All right, now this eggplant right here is equivalent to aubergine, the large purple one, so you can substitute with that. This is the kind that's easily accessible in Ghana. I just happened to find some at an African market here, and I grabbed it. Like, you know, it's hot stuff. We don't always get them. It's very seasonal. So when I see it, I buy all of them. I get super greedy. All right, so now we're done. We've also chopped up our green cabbage, and I like to rinse my cabbage right after chopping them because it is very common to find impurities in between the leaves. So this is a quick review of all the ingredients we'll be needing for the recipe. So this is our eggplant chopped up. Here is the spinach. It was previously frozen, so I thaw them and rinse them, and it's ready to go. And here is also our okra, prepped perfectly into bite-sized pieces. We also need some chopped onions, ginger, crushed tomatoes, 6 Roma tomatoes crushed. We will be needing our green seasoning mix, the fresh one, and I have a video on this. I've left the link in the description box. I also add carrot pulp, a nutritious byproduct from juicing, as a valuable ingredient to reuse. So there we go. And to bring that special creaminess, I add peanut butter. Homemade, oven roasted, so it's perfect. Now this dish requires umami. And for that, I have selected some umami boosting ingredients, starting with dawadawa, which is available on Amazon.com or in an African market close to you. We also have cured fish or momone, as well as ogiri, which is fermented, very nutty sesame seeds. We're also going to be needing some smoky flavor and more proteins. So I have smoked fish I have deboned and washed them thoroughly. And for seasoning and spices, we're going to be needing some all-purpose seasoning, dry herb and spice blend, salt, and crushed black pepper. Oil of choice today, or fat of choice today, is palm oil. We're going completely local in flavor here. You can use coconut oil for this as well. I've parboiled some bone-in beef. Yes, previously parboiled using the same ingredients I pressure cooked my assorted protein here with. And yes, 32 minutes later, it is perfectly tenderized and we're ready to cook, friends. So let's do exactly so. On medium low heat, pour in some palm oil and then go in with your umami boosting ingredients, all of them. Then you want to grate in some ginger. You're looking for an amount equivalent to about a teaspoonful. The fresher, the better. So use ginger roots, fresh ginger roots. All right, now you want to bring this all to a sizzle, which should now make your home smell. Yeah, it should have that bonde essence going on. Bonde is the sweet umami essence. We love it. We live for it. Now I go in also with my chopped onions, followed by my carrot pulp, and I simmer this down after stirring it in. And then I also go in with my seasonings and spices, my salt, crushed black pepper, all-purpose seasoning, dry herb and spice blend. Stir all of that in and continue cooking. All right, and then you also want to add your green seasoning, your fresh green seasoning. Like I said, I have a video of this I recently shared, and I've left the link below in the description box. This is a good time also to go in with your crushed tomatoes. Stir that also in and continue cooking for approximately 1 extra minute. Now our next ingredient we're going to add is our peanut butter. So you see, once you've prepped everything, it's easy peasy. You're just adding your ingredients and you're stirring them in as you add them and you're cooking. So you're not wasting any time at all. It's a shiogum potogum kind of deal we have going on here. And by the way, if you know, you know, shiogum potogum, it's a fun Ghanaian term that means you're multitasking, you're pouring, you're stirring, and you're cooking all at once. No time wasted. Now I added some whole chilies because I will also be indulging here and I love heat in my serving. So that's also a Ghanaian thing we do, all right? We leave the chilies whole. And, you know, if you want more heat in your serving, then you smash one into it and you're good to go. Now I'm adding all my proteins. The smoked fish has gone in, as well as all my parboiled or pressure cooked proteins. All went in. I added a little bit of water to thin everything up because we're going to continue cooking here with the lid on low heat for the next 20 minutes. Always remember to clean the sides of your pots because otherwise it will dry out and become a waste. And who wants waste in this day and age? Nobody. No. Now, we're going to be serving this sauce with steamed rice today. And this is how I cooked my steamed rice for this dish or this meal. Salt, my green seasoning, so versatile, so useful. Oh, so handy. And I also go in with a few drizzles of cold pressed coconut oil for that extra flavor. Why not? And we're cooking it in a rice cooker. And today I'm using a little more water and I'm using basmati rice, by the way, washed and good to go. And I'm cooking it a little bit soft. It's going to be fluffy, but it's going to be softer. Now I've gone in after 20 minutes into the sauce with the aubergine or eggplant. You want to submerge that so it can start cooking into a creamy texture. Throw the lid back on, cook a further 5 minutes or so. Our rice is almost done, so I go in and stir it all up. Throw the lid back on, let it keep doing its thing. About 5 minutes into cooking the sauce, after adding the eggplant, I add the cabbage. And we do not want to overcook at this point. Followed by the okra. And the spinach will be the last thing that goes in. So yes, we're going to submerge all of that and stir it in so it's all combined evenly. And we will apply the lid and cook a further 5 minutes, by which time the okra will be cooked through, the cabbage will be tenderized. And yes, by throwing the lid on, you're actually altering the slime okra naturally presents with. We don't want too much slime in the sauce. So that's a fan tip for you. Another way of minimizing slime in okra when you're cooking it is by applying the lid so you're cooking the okra with steam. That will cut that slime. All right, so we did that for 5 minutes, and now we're going in with the spinach. And at this stage of cooking, we also add our finishing ingredients. Yes, my green seasoning mix. I tell you, love this ingredient. Love, love, love it. It has garlic, parsley, scallions, and peppers. And like I said, the video is in the description box, so check it out. I also grated in a little bit of ginger. It gives it a really fresh, lovely fragrance. All right, it's a great way of finishing a dish like this up because it's full of umami and it's really rich. So you want to finish it with those lightening ingredients. All right, yeah, we'll throw the lid on, turn the stove off, and use the residual heat to bring it all together, and we're ready to serve, friends. Now look at that. Nutrition, flavor, so tasty. Yes, so I go in with a generous serving into a plate or bowl and a little bit of rice, a healthy amount. And you will be satisfied with this right here, this serving right here. A little more sauce, why not? It's all about the sauce. All right. So friends, I hope you're inspired to try this nourishing recipe. Not only is it nourishing, it's also satisfying. It is definitely tasty. You're not going to be disappointed at all with the tastiness of this dish. Absolutely not. And rice, I love this dish, this sauce right here. Love it with rice, and you will not be disappointed pairing it with rice. But you can also pair it with yam, potatoes, fufu, bangkung, kinke, cassava, whatever you want. And here we go. My babies are ready. So chow down, friends. Happy cooking. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you're leaving me a thumbs up. Let's make the most scrumptious chicken stew. Hello, everybody. Today is a chicken stew and rice kind of day. Let's get right into it. We're going to start first with putting a marinade together. So I have fennel seeds, anise seeds, joining some cloves of garlic, chilies, and ginger. I always add some salt before I grind manually, and also I'm going to add my crushed black pepper now. We're going to grind everything into a coarse texture. And of course, you can use your food processor or your blender for this. Now we're going to add some chopped onions because this is a marinade, so we need onions in here. And also I'm going to add some flat leaf parsley, also known as Italian parsley. We're just going to tear that into there and grind it all together. Now I also have my chicken bouillon. Very, very, very good in this recipe. I'm adding my curry powder now. Yes, everything is going into the grinder to become one homogeneous mixture for our chicken. Loving the texture, not too smooth and not too coarse. So we're going to add it to the chicken. We're going to rinse the grinder with a little bit of water because this chicken is the hen. It is the layer, and the meat tends to be tougher but more flavorful, so it could use the moisture to cook. I'm also going to add some fresh basil because it's perfume for the chicken. We'll let the chicken sit and marinate for about 20-25 minutes, giving us some time to work on our vegetables. This is going to be the base of the stew. So I have some tomatoes. I also have some grape tomatoes, all going onto a baking pan because we're going to throw it into the oven just to roast them, which will maximize the flavors even more. So we have a combination of green and red bell peppers. This medley brings so much sweetness and umami to your stew. I'm adding 2 types of onions, red and sweet, because I have those on hand. Use whatever type of onions you have available to you. It will not make much of a difference at all. I also have some cloves of garlic, some ginger. I'm going to add some fresh thyme going on right now, but you can use the dry. And to this, I'm just going to add my salt right now, as well as some crushed black pepper, and drizzle some oil onto it. I have some garlic infused oil, so I use that, and it's actually cooking olive oil. And then we'll throw it into the oven. We will be roasting at 500 degrees Fahrenheit for about 20 minutes, or until we see some caramelization and char. Time to cook the chicken. We let it marinate for about 25 minutes, so it's perfect and ready to go. We're going to bring it to a boil, which took about 10 minutes. Then we're going to stir it and add some more water. We need the water to soften the chicken. Start off without adding too much water though, because we want the flavors to seep all the way into the bone of the chicken. So don't dilute the flavors just yet. Bring it to a boil first, forcing the flavors into the meat and bone, and then add the water to tenderize. So after 20 minutes, we are ready to separate the chicken pieces from the broth we have created. Because next step is frying these chicken pieces until they're golden brown and delicious. This flavorful broth is going to make our stew. So we'll set it aside, and we'll be incorporating it soon, and I'll show you how. So keep watching. Now let's fry the chicken pieces. And our vegetables are also roasted perfectly. Look at that. That's just beautiful. Let's check on the chicken and flip them as needed because we're shallow frying. We want golden brown throughout, so, and the chicken skin. Those were an indulgent treat for Sister Madame. They were so good. So good. Chicken skin, fried, crispy. Yum, yum, yum. Yes, so the chicken looks really good. Don't eat all of it, please. Let me just forewarn you because that's a huge possibility. All right, so now we can fry the rest and move on to the next step. And to the same oil, you're going to add some chopped onions. Yes, more onions, please. Onions in your stew is a non-negotiable matter, friends. The more onions you put in your stew, the tastier it'll be. Hands down. All right, so let's go for it. We'll fry the onions on medium high and then go in with our tomato paste. And we'll fry these 2 ingredients together until we see the color changing. And that should take about 2 minutes. And at this stage, I go in with my mixed herb and spice medley. These are all dry herbs and spices. In that mixture is rosemary. So you know it's super fragrant right now. All right, so you want to stir that in and go in with the rest of your seasonings and spices. I added some curry powder, some chicken seasoning, and we're going to just stir that in and fry for an additional 1 minute or so. All right, and then we're going to blend our vegetables, our roasted vegetables, and add it to the stew base. Yes, we're leaving nothing behind. All the juices, everything must go inside. And to that, also make sure you add some chilies because we're making this stew nice and spicy. So I added some scotch bonnets and also the chicken broth. We blend everything together to a really nice and smooth puree. Perfect. The stew base is ready to receive our blended mixture. And now we will stir it together and then we'll let it cook on low heat. Friends, the key is low heat, and we will stir periodically. Set a timer for maybe every 15 minutes or so. As long as you're cooking on low heat, you should be just fine. What we want to see here is for the stew to reduce. So every 10 to 15 minutes, you want to go and stir. And you see the ring forming along the inside of the pot. That's what you want to see. Yes, and periodically you want to go and clean that rim and reincorporate it into the stew so it doesn't become dry and become a waste. All right. So after about 40 minutes or so, your stew should be done cooking. It should have reduced to this level, concentrated with flavor, and ready to chow down. Now we go in and remove the oil. Yes, we use the oil to fry the stew. It's done its job, but you can go in and remove it. Skim it off because we don't need all that oil in the stew. And the oil, do not discard because you can use it for jollof rice, for an omelette, gari photo, whatever the case might be. You can even use it to cook stew again. And now we add our fried chicken. Yes. That is a sight for sore eyes right there. And for a hungry soul, oh, this is torture. Sorry, but I'm not sorry. Yes. Now that we've submerged all of our chicken pieces, we're going to let it continue cooking on low heat for the next 10 minutes. Then we'll go in with some hard-boiled eggs and some chilies. Now, the hard-boiled eggs, that's a Ghanaian thing. The chili is also a Ghanaian thing. If you know any Ghanaian, you know we put eggs on everything. All right, friends? It's just a thing we do in Ghana, and we love it. It is dinner time, and my household members cannot wait. I served it over some saffron rice and a lightly dressed slaw. And it was perfection on the plate, friends. It was so yummy. So yummy. Yeah. All the kiddos, they went for seconds. This stew is a must try, friends and family. I hope you're inspired to try it. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, please try the recipe and come back with your feedback. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thanks so much for watching. Make it a great day. And as always, have fun, especially in that kitchen. It is chop time. Yes, as you can see, it's going down. Let's make peanut butter soup with cured lamb shank and meatballs. Yes, you heard me right. And we're serving it over noodles. You heard that right too. Now let's cure the lamb. With grains of salim, star anise, green cardamom, rosemary, bay leaves, peppercorns. I happen to have the green peppercorns in the whole, so I use those, but you can use white, black, red, whatever kind of peppercorns you have will do. Now we're curing, so we need salt, and I have some Himalayan salt, and you need a generous amount to cure properly. Now the lamb was frozen solid. Brought it out of the freezer, washed it thoroughly, but did not allow it to completely thaw, because we're going to slowly cure this over 1 day in the fridge. Just 1 day, 24 hours. So the next day is here, and on coming out of the fridge and removing that lid, you should be greeted with that warm, that sweet essence of curing lamb. Tolo beef style, absolutely worth it. If you're going to try this recipe, I urge you to not skip this step. Totally worth it. We're going to begin cooking by first searing the lamb. Now, before we do that, we're going to add some minced onion to it. So we did not cure the lamb with the onion, but this is a good time to introduce that onion essence. All right, we're going to sear it on medium-high heat to introduce that nutty flavor too, which is another layer of flavor. It's going to bring this whole thing together and make it so yummy. Now, previously, I made some meatballs. Now, to store them, I flash freeze them first, and then I select what I'm going to use for the recipe, and what I will not use returns to the freezer in a Ziploc bag. Now, to sear the meat, you need fat, and the fat of choice today is the peanut oil, because we're making peanut butter soup, so why not? And I have it available because it settles on the top when you make it homemade. You roast them first and you blend them, you store them, and the oil just naturally settles on the top. All right, so that's searing. Now I have some ginger I'm chopping up, some onion also going into the blender, some chilies for heat, green seasoning mix, more garlic, and some water. I said more garlic because I have garlic in the green seasoning, but this soup could use even more garlics. So blend it all up into a smooth puree and pour it into your seared lamb. Now is a good time to go in with your tomato paste, followed by the rest of your protein, which in this case is the meatballs. Yes, meatballs in peanut butter. So just watch and see how it comes together. Now I have some tomatoes in the whole, bell pepper, red is preferable, a whole onion, a barrette in the form of fresh basil, a barrette. My seasonings now go in, and spices as well. So I've added my dry herb and spice blend, salt, crushed black pepper, a combo of onion and garlic granules, and a little bit of water. Now we bring it to a boil with the lid on for 15 minutes. We go back and fetch the whole vegetables. So the bell pepper, the onion, the tomatoes all come back into a blender. And we're going to blend it real smooth. Perfect. Throw the lid back on and continue to cook. Now, because the meatballs were frozen, which is very important, it stays together. Of course, it will thaw as it cooks, but it also firms up and will not disintegrate. Now, we're blending, but before that, we're adding our peanut butter and, of course, some water. And we're going to blend everything into a very, very smooth puree. If your blender is unable to blend into a smooth puree, then you must strain, all right? Strain it thoroughly. And then in a non-stick pot or non-stick saucepan, you're going to cook this peanut butter and vegetable puree separately until the oil resurfaces. Now we're boiling some water because we're going to be cooking our noodles. We're checking on this. It's been about 10 extra minutes, and see how the meatballs are still together, nothing disintegrated. We pour in our peanut butter mixture. We cook that for about 15 minutes also, all right, while the base of the soup was cooking. And what you want to see is the oil resurfacing, the oil from the peanut butter. All right. And that looks absolutely gorgeous. Now we added some water to it after we added the peanut mixture because we want to thin it up. Now this peanut butter soup is going to be lighter in terms of consistency because of how I'm serving it. Now I'm bringing some water to a boil because I'm going to be cooking my noodles. Now I have some onions here, and this is how I like to finish cooking my peanut butter soup. It just brings so much more flavor. I'm going to caramelize some onions, sliced thinly. So in the pot, I pour in some oil, and then I go in with my onions and caramelize them or until I see that golden brown action. Then I blend it with some water and fresh ginger root. And that's how I like to finish cooking my peanut butter soup. So try that and thank me later. You would love it. Absolutely. Caramelized onions and fresh ginger to finish your peanut butter soup preparation is just brilliant. You will love it. All right. So since adding the peanut butter and the vegetable puree and the water, I have been cooking a further 25 minutes. Now, mind you, the peanut butter mixture was already cooked. All right, so we don't need to continue to cook for a prolonged period of time. Now, we've added the caramelized onions, pureed with the ginger. Now I'm tasting and I realize I need a little more seasoning, so I go in with some salt, and that should just do it. It is perfect. Now you know your peanut butter soup is cooked through when the oil begins to resurface, and that's a good time to finish it with the caramelized onions and the ginger. Throw the lid back on, continue cooking a further maybe 10 minutes or so, and yes, before we turn the heat off, we're going to add some more vegetables. This time, we're going to cut them up into bite-sized pieces. And because of how I chose to serve this peanut butter soup, I will be adding some russet potato, carrots, green bell pepper, and red bell pepper. I'm going to add the carrots and the potatoes first and let them cook until fork tenderness is reached, and then I'll go in with the bell peppers, and then we'll be done cooking. Now, my children love peanut butter soup this way, cooked this way, on noodles. And if you've never tried it, please be inspired to, because it is so good. It is so good. It is so good. Yes, yes, yes. Perfection. Now let's cook our noodles. I'm using spaghetti today. All right, friends. So my children are noodle fanatics. They adore ramen, Vietnamese pho, any soup pasta you can think of. So I decided to serve them Ghanaian style noodles in a soup. And I hope this sparks your creativity to reinvent dishes you grew up loving, giving them a fresh new twist. Yes, friends. So now I'm looking for the potatoes and the carrots to make sure they have reached fork tenderness. And yeah, we have reached fork tenderness. So now I am also looking for the oil, which we've confirmed is resurfaced. So now I'm going to go in with one final finishing touch, which is our bell peppers. And yes, once that goes in, I don't overcook. I'm ready to turn the heat off in about a minute. And yes, our noodles are also cooked, and I cooked them not al dente this time, but soft, all right? Because yeah, you want your noodles to be soft, especially when you're serving it in a soup. Now, I'm going to add some fresh, crunchy vegetables. I have green cabbage, red onion, fresh tomatoes, and I'm also grating some carrots. I will also be adding some chopped scallion. Yes, and I feel all of these crunchy, fresh vegetables is a way to bring that fun brightness to every serving. Our soup is ready. It's nice and hot. And yes, you want it to be nice and hot when you serve it. Now, this soup is inspired by Ghanaian peanut butter soup. We also call it groundnut soup. And it's typically served with fufu, abetie or kunkunte. It's also served with rice balls, yam, things like that. Hardly ever noodles. So yeah, definitely hope that this will inspire you to try it, a different twist to the way you serve this soup. It's so yummy. It is so, so, so yummy. We also will typically not use meatballs to cook a soup like this and leave chunks of bright, vibrant vegetables in it. So try it. I really, really hope that this inspires you. My children love it, and I know yours will love it too. Yes, and those crunchy vegetables in there, especially those onions and scallions. Oh, so yummy. Friends, I thank you so much for watching. I hope you're inspired. Yeah, my kiddos are ready to chow down. Look at the meat. Look at that cured lamb. Do you see how tender, how juicy it is? I really enjoyed it myself. And you can actually have this soup by itself because it's got chunks of it. It's very filling, it's hearty, and yes, it's very satisfying. Look at the meatball. See how it stayed together? Did not disintegrate, did not fall apart. It's juicy and yummy. Happy cooking to you all. Make sure you like the video, share, leave a comment, subscribe, turn your notifications on, and come back with feedback. Make it a great day and have fun, especially in that kitchen.